All right, what is going on, everyone? Hopefully everything is looking good. Let me make sure this is all good. Everything looks good here. Yep, everything is set up and ready to go. Hope everyone had a good Wednesday, and we're gonna get started on going over. I want to do this today because, and I may do this in the future, just do some Wednesday nights as well because it's kind of like a midweek catch up to go over at least some of the stuff that I've been noticing because there's a lot of stuff that changes throughout the week. Everything's fluid, right? So quickly, what I want to do is let's pull up some. Oh yeah, UMWH or no, what is it? UWMC, one of the stocks I've been holding. United Wholesale Mortgage. One of the SPAC plays. I mean, this is some big numbers. I mean, for a SPAC, right? Some big time revenue numbers. So they had the earning. They dropped their earnings, and they're actually going to start a dividend of 10 cents per share, which is actually pretty cool. To be in at the ground floor of one of these. So I still have that. Honestly, I probably missed the boat in terms of putting this into my longer term swing account, but at the same time, I'm not sure what I'm doing with that. I got to situate a new account because I don't want to be that guy, but I used to use, I still have money in Robinhood, and I'm not sure, what brokerage I want to move that to. Because, I use Webull. We're going to use Webull here in this video. I use that. We'll go for a big chart so we can see things. We're looking at Bitcoin, actually. Look at Bitcoin. We can talk about this in a second. But I use this for more of my active trades and kind of my longer-term swings that I kind of like set and forget, like SPACs, longer-term growth companies. That's kind of like my longer-term swings. And so I kind of I've been using Robinhood for that. But we'll see where I decide to move some money. I got a bunch of options, obviously, on the table. But Bitcoin over 38,000 right now. So we had this pop last week hitting like 38.6 or 38.7 on Friday, I believe. And then that's where we started to buy. I started to buy into some Bitcoin plays, buying into some Bitcoin plays and looking at some of those Mara, NXTD, and stuff like that. And of course it dipped, so we kind of had to average down a little bit. But then it's been grinding its way back up. So we're green on that. I'm green on that position. So awesome. Great speaking to you as well. Awesome. I love all the people who are, DM me and stuff. It's good stuff. We're good information going back and forth. People who are just going to, DM me, should I buy this or, do I need to sell this right now? That's not the best, conversation to have, but some of the awesome, good questions going back and forth is fun to do. So I appreciate that. And I enjoy doing that. So this is one of the first things that I think you need to be paying attention to, Bitcoin at least, because, this thing grinding back up, once it clears back over this high from Friday, watch 40K. And then if it clears over 40K, we're gunning for these highs. We're gunning for that 42,000. And so a lot of these Bitcoin names are going to be back in play. Let's go to our Bitcoin list. There's plenty more. I haven't updated this one, actually. I don't believe in a little bit. Where is it? Where's my Bitcoin plays? I have them pulled up here somewhere. Here they go. Here we go. So one I'm in is Mara right now, and Mara actually in the after hours is up 4.5%. So it's up, up 4% today, another 4.5% in the after hours. I like it. We're eclipsing or getting very close to where it hit in the pre-market hours on Friday last week. So we're right back. I averaged down, so my average is like 22-ish, I think. So I'm nice and green, a couple dollars in the green there, which is feeling good. But I still want 30 plus. I still want 30 plus on this guy. So MARA is one to watch. EBON, this is definitely one as well. It ran a lot back when Bitcoin made its first initial pop, but here it comes, right? Watch this guy again. It's starting to get back up to over those highs that we had on Friday. So again, these are kind of interesting plays because they do kind of rely on Bitcoin continuing to push up. If we see a pullback, obviously. My dad just texted me Bitcoin with the rocket emoji. Gotta love it. When Bitcoin pulls back, they're gonna pull back as well. So be ready to add on dip. That's why I haven't bought more because we've pretty much seen a straight up move starting Monday morning, right from where it was. So Sava, oh man, we can talk about that thing too. And then the biggest mistake. So as of right now, we can talk about like the AMC drama, the whole GME. But here's the thing. After today's video I made on it, I'm done. I'm done. For those who know kind of how I am and the style, we don't need to talk about that stuff anymore. If it comes back and things settle down, maybe we can, maybe there's a trade there, but it's just not something I'm interested in doing. That said, let's talk about some of those. We'll come back to this. We can talk about some more. MFH, to be honest, is one that I'm watching as well. It popped up, actually, did MFH pop in the after hours? It did. It definitely did. But there's probably more. MFH is probably going to make a more sustained move. It's a very low float stock, so just be careful on that one. I'm going to go to my customized layout and pull up Sava. Sava's hit 130 here in the after hours. Sorry if it's a little bit small, but Sava hit 130 in the after hours. absolutely insane. And then as a sympathy play, what's been moving right here is, as a sympathy play, VTVT has been pushing up. Okay, and you guys remember from last week on the Saturday video, I said, or even on Friday, I believe I may have sold it on the stream. I said, you know what? I'm going to trim this. I'm going to take myself out at VTVT. Because you know what, I was in it for a while. I was looking for this gap fill. Here's the gap fill. I was looking for this gap fill from like 250 to like 275. So I was looking for a move right there. It was sitting at like $2. It fell below 2 and started to like hold below the 50 SMA, this blue line. So for me, the trade was like, okay, you hold the 50 SMA and bounce. And here's an example of me getting stopped out, weak hands, I guess you want to call it. But I wanted to move money into like MARA and other positions. So I had a reason for it, and it's not like that money's not being put to good use. So it's still fine. But that said, I had I literally had a $1.50 move literally from where I sold it. Like the next day it runs. It is what it is, but it's going off of Sava, which is Sava's been nuts. It's been just a beast. This thing, I mean, it's probably going to pull back at some point, but 38% here in the after hours, probably a decent gap up candidate for at least a few dollars. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. CIDM made a move. Let's take a peek. I think there's people talking about CIDM. I've been seeing a little bit about it. Unfortunately, I'm loaded in. Like I'm in everything that I got. All my positions and all my money is kind of tied up. So the way I see it is that all my positions are on the left-hand side, and I can't physically or mentally kind of handle a situation where I have more than whatever I can see on my platform. So whatever this is a lot of positions. Some are super small, some I'm scaling out, some are longer term SPAC kind of swings, and some are kind of shorter term swings. So there's a lot of stuff going on here, which we can talk about a bunch of the sectors that I like as well. But if I start having to scroll on the left-hand side through my positions, I'm in too many, and then I can't properly adjust the amount of money or have enough money into each play for it to be a meaningful play, in my opinion. So that's kind of how I do it. But look, CIDM is looking good over this 167. This is going to be key. Over this 167, because here it is, this high right back in here, back from August, right before CIDM plummeted down, right, with a lot of stocks. A lot of stocks at the exact same move from August to, you can look from August to like November. They're all, a lot of the penny stocks that we talk about, they're all the same move, But it popped up here to 165-ish. So we're up there. We got to clear this. Clearing over 170, 175. This thing is probably going to make a nice move. And it has that range. It has that $6 potential base on the chart right there. So I like that. And then we have some spikes up here towards 250 to 260. If it can clear over 250 and 260, I think are pretty good spots for some profit. For some resistance or some taking some profits. If you're looking for targets, I would say to the upside. COCP, let's take a peek at the chart. I haven't checked the chart yet. But it is actually here. This is actually solid. So COCP, I believe, from November was when we had, I believe there was some big name talking about how he made a big investment in COCP, and it started running up. It's pulled back to the 50 SMA. So that's your support line. It's this blue line here on the daily chart. 50 SMA is your support right now. So I would say, this thing, of course, it looks like it wants to go back over 2, but $2 is your resistance for right now. Over 2, probably 225, 250 are the next levels to look for. But it's got some solid support here down around like 165-ish. So you don't have that much downside risk. And from what I've seen some good things in the past. Haven't had enough time to deep dive, into COCP, at least recently, in terms of like updates as to what they're doing. It's one of those stocks, actually, if I go back to my list, it was one of the stocks that I made the most money on back in, one of those stocks I played multiple times. Man, I hear you on the VTVT, man. I sold it on Friday. I'm pissed because, but at the end of the day, that just shows you kind of how it works. It literally just shows you like exactly when like you start feeling impatient is exactly when you need to add more. Like that's one of those things. Almost every time. And I remember selling it saying, you know what? I remember selling it and I was like, I'm probably going to regret this. I kept it on my list to say, hey, let's add it back once we have some cash, once we clear up some positions. Unfortunately, didn't do so, and then boom, it takes off. So of course, that's just how it works. What do you think of any? Let's take a look at any. Back to the big chart here. This looks decent. So we'll look at the 5-minute chart right here, and so it's bottomed out here, like the low twos between $2 and $2.25 so far. That's what we're looking at right there. bottomed out recently, so that looks like a decent spot. $2 can hold up, you're good. If not, looks like this 190-ish area, and at the same time, you're going to have this 50 SMA coming up as well. So this is coming up while the stock potentially, if it does dip, will catch it there. So that 190, honestly, this is a solid play. I don't know enough about it personally in terms of what they do. Sphere 3D. Okay. So I can see this, and especially how it has that potential spike. It has that spike at 350-ish. It's got the range. I like it. As long as it holds the twos, or the upper ones, wouldn't go below 190, honestly. It looks pretty good. The question is going to be how the market reacts. I mean, now we have stimulus talks and all that stuff kind of heating back up again in terms of like, okay, it's actually coming now. They've been, all that jazz, right, that we had going on. Now it's come back. I was like, okay, it's here. Like, we're getting close again, I guess. And so we'll see if we actually get it sooner rather than later. I mean, it's going to happen at some point. But sold my CSPH, oof, over 100% today. Let's take a peek at that guy. I feel you, but the thing is that you have to understand. This is not CSPH. The thing, why is it not? Here it is. No, CSPH or is it CPSH? What am I doing? Let's go back to this guy. Let's go back to today's gainers. CPSH, pull it up here. Oh man, $17. Hit $20 in the after hours. That's nuts. This is a beautiful chart because you kind of have a beautiful setup. Like if we go to look at this trend line downtrend, kind of rough, not rough, and then you have the breakout or the kind of the you can also, people also like to talk about these descending kind of wedges. So you kind of have this channel or this descending wedge if you want to draw it into a wedge form. And then you break out of this downtrending channel, boom, the thing pops, and it many times they pop hard. So even without news, even without any news, SOS has been good. SOS has been good. It's just that this was a tough one to catch on the dips, and so I would have loved it down towards 2. Didn't get that chance this week, obviously, yet. So 250 was your lowest shot. But the question I was saying is like, okay, how is the overall market going to do? Let's take a peek at SPY. I'll go back to the big chart because I know it's tough to see sometimes. And also, these are I'm hoping these are all recorded in like 4K. So if the playback is blurry, just make sure you up the playback, I guess, on YouTube on your end. Hopefully, sometimes it's certain it doesn't like set it to like quality standard of like the highest, which is unfortunate because you kind of need to see that for some of the stuff because it's kind of small, unfortunately. Just because I guess my screen's a little distorted in terms of the size, but SPY is pushing up. So we had that dip last week, Friday, pretty big dip day. We kind of got scared, but all those ads, I'm going to tell you right now, and we're going to dive into the SNDL. I want to talk about some of those cannabis plays. Coming on Friday, we were kind of on the stream, like getting not a little nervous, but like to a degree, like, hey, this market's down pretty big. Like, is there something else we're missing here, in a sense? And then, those dip ads, it was kind of just, okay, I'll just buy a little more dip. I'll buy a little more of this dip. I'll buy a little more here. And let me tell you, that has paid me massively this week on a percentage scale, right? And it's all swings. It's literally all swings. I took a day trade today on BTN. I got smoked. So, again, I haven't. I know exactly what works for me and what doesn't work for me. Yet sometimes I still get the urge to take a day trade, and I got smoked again. So it was like only $100 loss, but it's not like not the end of the world. But I was like, okay, well, I could have just kept that $100 instead of losing it. So SPY is pushing back up. Well, today it kind of pulled back towards the end. After hours closing just up. We can take a peek at futures. What are they looking like? They're barely green, so okay, it is what it is. VIX is up slightly, but not that bad. VIX is back to 25. It's not bad by any means. These Nike shoes, actually, not gonna lie, I was looking at those before. That's why I got the ad. I do kind of want to snag something like that at some point. Okay, so SNDL. I know we got to talk about some of these cannabis plays because this is what I want to get into now. I want to get into some now. People are joining in. Hit the thumbs up button, and let's now start diving into some of the stuff. Hot. This sector's hot. Okay, where is Tilray? Tilray is my boy. Look at this thing. Tilray's a beast. The thing almost hit $30 today. Monster. Absolute monster. Unfortunately, I had Tilray call options that I bought for, I believe I bought them for like March or April or something, or maybe in May, maybe in June, right, of this year. I bought them a couple months back. I want to say I bought them in December. And I sold them on the first initial pop, which was right here. right? Now, how can you go wrong, right? You bought them, they were up big, and so I took my profits. Now, ideally, I should have re-entered into the long term and just kind of forgot about them because they're be paying massive, or just even bought shares, honestly. They're paying massive, but we're seeing some big moves. And if we look at the weekly chart on Tilray, take a look at this. I mean, take a look at the potential that we have here. This thing has some range. I want to see, potentially $30, 32, 35 isn't out of the question. Then we can go from there. But so with one of the leaders of the pack, Tilray, even look at CGC. CGC is just ripping. I mean, that's the weekly chart. Let's take a look at the daily chart. CGC is on an absolute tear, hitting 45. CGC was a stock that I talked about saying, hey, I'm going to be buying CGC and just literally just forgetting about it. Just buying it and holding it like this entire year in my longer term swing. Boom, the thing has been awesome. I'm up like 60%-ish, I think I want to say, something like that on that trade alone, which is awesome. And I looked back at it saying, I didn't get enough. So unfortunately, that's that. And SPCE was one of those also that I had. I don't think I mentioned it here, but I had it from a while back that finally paid me a little bit this past week. So SNDL is a stock that I am currently actually in. I bought some on the live stream last week. We don't want this. I want to get rid of that little line. Bought some on the live stream last week, and they just did two offerings. They've closed their offering, so we can go and take a look. SNDL right here, Sundial. Let's pull this bad boy up. Press releases. They just did two offerings, $100 million and then a $74.5 million. And they fully utilized their shelf offering. And so they closed the offering. And now we're looking pretty. SNDL has to get over $1 and hold that for like 10 days by June. This is now like day 2 or 3 here that we're now consecutive over $1, right? I think we're day 1, day 3, right? This is day 3 that we're now over $1 and holding up the bid over $1 at the close. So we're honestly looking pretty good. SNDL is one of those that I currently have a position with an average under 90 cents from buying last Friday, and I bought enough. I sold some on the initial pop. I want to say, not today, yesterday. Where was it? Yeah, let's take a peek at the past couple of days. I sold some into this 133 in the after hours. I want to say I had some sells up around 130-ish because we had previously hit 136. So that 136 is going to be resistance for right now. But what does this chart look like on the 1 hour chart? This actually looks really good, really bullish in my opinion. Here it is. Let's pull this bad boy up. We kind of got this. Oh, wow. This is a really nice setup. And we kind of have this top line resistance right here. So over this like 133 to 135, we can get a big push to the upside. Now, obviously, we could come cracking down. We'll see how the market is tomorrow. If the market comes, crashing down, or we see, Tilray or some of the leaders of the pack slow down, which I wouldn't be surprised. This could come down. But SNDL, I think we're going to see some waves. We're seeing some waves. We're getting more and more information out of, hey, there's a vote here now, or we're getting closer and closer to votes in Congress and stuff like that. So it's just, these are going to be stocks that you could think about them a couple different ways. You could just buy and hold them and not worry. SNDL, I think, is fine. There's like almost no risk of an offering for right now. And they have to get over $1, and they've done so naturally, so there's really no risk of a reverse stock split unless they come crashing down. So you're honestly sitting here pretty good on SNDL. It's one that I have some sells set up over 150, and if it starts hitting, they hit when they hit. If this thing comes back under $1, I'll probably buy some more. I don't have a ton in there, so I could have bought more on Friday ideally, but I'm in with a solid amount where I don't care either way, in a sense. I do obviously would like to see the thing go up, obviously, but at the end of the day, I don't know. So let me see. Let's see. Yeah, there is a lot. That's the thing. I've been watching the SNDL walls. There are some like $4 million share walls, and it's just been slowly kind of grinding its way through those walls. And what does that mean? It just means on level 2, you just look up and you're looking at this and saying, hey, like we see, a lot of shares, a lot of size at like $3, or at like $1 or like $1.25. Some of these like key areas of support and resistance. So like $1 was key. It really was a grind to get through $1. And there was a lot of sellers, or there was a lot of, a big seller at that point, and it grinded its way through it. So it's been pushing through some of those walls. It's been a grind, but it's just kind of been slow. VYGVF. I don't know enough about this one. VYGVF. right? VYGVF. Voyager Digital. OTC. I don't know enough about it, and it's up a lot. So I don't know. I'm not a big OTC guy. I'll play an OTC here and there if I really just have to play it for fun in my TD Ameritrade, but it's not the primary focus, at least for me. I don't know enough. It's up a lot, though. I mean, this is a very overextended look, at least the way that I see it. So I don't know. Back to some of those cannabis plays. Let's pull up some other ones. Like, for example, we can take a peek at some of these because some of them are laggers, and we can kind of find let's see if we can find like some of these laggers. So this YCBD, it's been kind of pushing up. It's not really a lagger, I would say. IGC was one that I think was lagging like yesterday, and it finally got caught. It got picked up. Kern has been kind of a slower lagger, but it is up. I think Kern's going to probably go to $10 eventually. It may take some time. HEXO is probably going to do the same thing, but it popped a little bit today. APHA has been ripping up with Tilray. What else? ACB is somewhat of a lagger, but again, pushing up here, hitting or getting very close to those new highs over that 1450, which will be key. There's one that I think is interesting, NEPT. If you guys want to do a little bit more due diligence into this one, this one caught my eye because of the setup and because it kind of came down to that 50 SMA and bounced. I kind of got lucky. I grabbed a starter, so I didn't grab a ton, but I grabbed a starter right at that 50 SMA. So I'm up already nice, like 25 cents or whatever off the average, and I grabbed a little bit more, so I actually averaged up a tiny bit. I'm up like 25 cents, but I think this one's somewhat lagging because they do sell cannabis products. So this one could be a lagger, and it kind of broke out of this downtrend that we've been kind of seeing roughly the past couple of months. So I think this could be a really good setup. Broke out of the downtrend, kind of came back, tested that breakout point, right, that 175-ish, held that as support, happened to be the 50 SMA as well. And I think we can see a nice move. It's not a super low float stock or anything, so it's not going to move super, super fast unless they get news or unless people start finding it. But I think it's one of those unfound cannabis plays I don't think enough people have found yet. And the risk here's my risk. I mean, I'm not going to want to see this thing coming back down below 170, 175-ish. So that's kind of how I'm determining my risk right there. SNDL gap up. Yeah, I mean, those are some solid plays. HEXO is solid. Buy SNDL on the dip. Yeah, SNDL is 100% a dip buy play. If you try to chase breakouts, at least I've been screwed on the breakout. Not screwed, but like I've had struggle. I've struggled with the breakouts or at least timing those. HUSA, I'm in that guy again. I'm in HUSA again because oil is just ripping, right? So HUSA, take a look at some of these recent plays or these recent charts. So HUSA, right? NTN was a stock that I traded a little while back. Look at the similarities in these charts, okay? And a lot of patterns, we see patterns repeat, okay? Look at this chart. This is NTN, okay? We have a spike up towards 776. I guess they're not same sector, right? Doesn't matter. The chart and the float. So we go to look at the float of NTN. NTN, let's see. We have a 2.43 million float, and then HUSA, we got a 6 million float. So, okay, so it's not a super... It's not as, I guess, the float's a little bit bigger, but it's still relatively low. Under 10 million is low. So look at NTN's move, and then tell me what you think about HUSA. We've kind of got those first stages of that pop because it's super low float, so it's going to be super volatile, but it has the same looks, putting in higher lows. Yeah, could it come down under 2? Yeah, it totally could, but the way I kind of see it is I grab some more of this guy, and I honestly, if we get a dip, I would not mind adding. This one has potential for like $1 plus move. I wouldn't be surprised to see HUSA $5-ish, $4 to $5 at some point in the future, as long as oil stays up. What do we got to look at? We got to look at USO. What is USO doing? Look at USO. I mean, it's been just continuously grinding up. Crude oil's been pushing up as well. So we kind of had this consolidation phase like the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks, in this range from 36 down towards 35, rough range. Now we're up breaking out 37, and we had a little bit up 37.5 is where we're at right now. So I do like HUSA. It's a low float though. So the way that I play these, the super low floats, is that I have orders already, some orders set, but I'm still anticipating a bigger move here. So I'm still I have orders set up towards 3-ish, but for like a small chunk of the shares, I really would like to see if we can get this thing over 3, over 4 potentially. We'll see. but it has that potential, especially with what we've been seeing. Let's see, TTNP, I am not in, but I was in. I took some profits because they had news a couple of days ago. So they had news and they popped. And I took profits there, and it wasn't a big trade by any means, but it's right back to the spot, right? It's right back to our loading zone. So we can think about it in terms of like zones. And if we take a look at this rectangle tool that Weeble's got right here, the way that I like to see it is that maybe I'm identifying my risk down towards like $3. I mean, could it come down below 3? Yes, because we have a drop down here at 282 before a pop to like 430. So yeah, it could come down. But I do like it. It's okay. It's just north of the zone, so it's not perfect. So for a small move, okay, it got news, and so I had a super low average, like 318 or something like that. So I was able to sell into this pop and be up over $1, I think, in the pre-market hours. Let's see, what did it hit in the pre-market hours? Let me look at the 4-hour chart. I want to say it hit up nicely over 4. Okay, so we had a pop to 4-ish, and we had a pop a couple days back to 434. So I was able to make like about $1 per share, which on a stock under 5, you make $1 per share. That's a solid to me. I mean, I'm taking profits there usually. So that's how I see. But I think it's got a bigger move coming, and it's sitting right at support. It's sitting nice and low, so I do kind of like that. Let's take a look at the float on TTNP, because TTNP is interesting. This guy, yeah, it's a under 10 million float. It's got 5 million float. So there you go. Now there's one more. CLEU is one that I talked about. If you wanted like a super like simple, easy to determine risk trade, here you go. Because if you like these low float stocks, look at this thing. This is super low float, so it's got some spikes. So I would have orders set up around like 415, 420, and then I have some more orders set up, over 450 to $5 in case you get a quick spike and I'm not paying attention. But look, it's sitting right here. We have support that it's come down to multiple times, right down to like this 360. We have a dip down to 345. So if it comes below 350 and it holds below and it can't recover intraday, then that's the signal to me, get out. So again, where is it? It's sitting at 375. So the average, if you had an average right around here, you're risking 25 cents, 30 cents on a $3.50 stock. I mean, that's not a big risk at all for the potential move of 50 cents to $1 at least. I mean, if this thing kind of recovers back to where it was a couple months or just like 2 months ago, the thing is back up to $6. So that's a solid risk reward, and it's easy to identify. And we can also look back to the left too. It's at support, and it's come down to this range multiple times and bounced here. Yeah, could it change? Could the trend, the pattern change? Yeah, but it's again we're at a bottom. So you're buying bottoms and you're not buying tops. And don't even get me started on buying tops, because if you want to be buying tops, you go play GameStop, last week, and you're getting crushed. I feel bad. I don't want to be the bearer of bad news to those who are in this stuff and who are trading it and who want to stand up for what's going on. 100% understand, 100% agree with, I guess, like the point. But at the end of the day, the way that because I've been, at least for those who are more actively trading, trying to make money, you don't want to lose money. You don't want to you don't want to see your account go down. You want to protect your capital. But for those of us, who are watching this on the sidelines, I mean, if you have a share or two, just to have some skin in the game, it's kind of fun. But I hate to see people who have positions of averages over $400, over $300, who've held it all the way down. I mean, I'm sorry, but I don't know. I don't know. You are the one who's getting caught, right, without a chair when the music stopped, or you're getting caught with your pants down. I mean, you don't want to be that guy. That's the name of the game. INUV, and then we can look at RKT. INUV. INUV is setting up, actually. This 125 is holding up. So if 125 can hold, this thing is probably going to make a shot back up towards 2, at least chart-wise. I don't know enough about behind the scenes, what's going on, exactly why it popped this high and whatever. But this does look like it's potentially setting up. 125. Let's hold 125. Okay, if it wicks down, if it recovers, okay. But if it can't, then that's probably your kind of signal to get out, because it's probably going to come down towards $1. Wouldn't be surprised. RKT had big after hours, right? Didn't they have like a 13G or something filing after hours? Like a very big, like a 93%, I believe, 13G or something like that, from what I remember seeing online. So I've liked Rocket at least a little bit, and it popped recently, but now it's back down. It's got some solid support right here around 21. So $21 is holding up as support, and we have a range to the upside. I do like it. Personally, I'm in UWMC, which is United Wholesale Mortgage, so kind of a competitor in the space. which is sitting at $10. It's a SPAC, and they had the earnings and whatnot, and some big numbers in there. So I guess comparative, right? Rocket's double the price, but Rocket's kind of the leader, I guess, in that space as of right now. So we'll see. But I do like it. I mean, I liked it before, and I bought it in my long term, but then it was just not moving much, so I just cut it in there, and I bought like Neo, or I bought like Tattooed Chef or something like that, which I felt like I had more potential in, at least to make a bigger move in a shorter period of time. Rocket's fine though. I mean, it's been in this kind of consolidation phase for quite some time, where we kind of have. This is like your range that you've been in for a while, so you got to kind of make a big move out of this range. Get above 25 and hold above 25, and that would signal a bigger move. But a big, 13G filing in the after hours, which is pretty impressive, I think. VXRT, I've been seeing people talking about VXRT. Had news today. Let me look at the news, because I think we can actually explain this in the news. So here it is. It had a pretty big run. Prior to this, but let's pull this up. Let's pull up, where is VXRT? There she is, Vaxart, right? Come on, load here. So is that just about under $10, and the stock plummets on underwhelming study data. They announced, so they come out today and they announced positive preliminary data from phase 1. So it's only phase 1 trials, okay? But they're essentially going for an oral tablet vaccine candidate, which is crazy to think about. Rocket with this. Yeah, I can see that. And also, people are talking about HOFV for a Super Bowl run as well, kind of a play on the NFL. So Rocket, I can see that. That makes sense. I can see that. So we have an oral COVID-19. That's actually pretty cool. But if we read a little bit deeper into this, here's what actually it says. Highlight the importance of our differentiated vaccine design. Okay, blah, blah, blah. Could have broad activity. Could have. Okay. Nothing definitive, right? Obviously. Timely emergence of new variants, less responsive. Okay, so I can kind of see what they're talking about here. Raise our confidence in the potential, in the broad potential. So essentially, like, it's not that this wasn't necessarily bad news, I guess, but it wasn't like here's your solution. So they're in phase 1 though, so they got time. I mean, it's just not like it's the end. There's a lot more going on behind the scenes. This is not a bad play for a bounce. I just wouldn't play it right now. If it comes down, maybe it holds up around $9. This 50 SMA sitting just around 8 could be a better spot, I think. That could be a better spot, for a buy. But just for me, it's just like, okay, well, I'm not going to try to catch this thing on the way down. But again, in anticipation, why we like to play the anticipation or leading up to data release or up to an earnings report or something like that. Again, we kind of see it here on this. They dropped the news today, but look at yesterday. This thing got so hyped up in anticipation. I mean, you had 100%. If you bought this week, you're up 100%. Now, of course, obviously, if you hold through, yeah, you're down. You're back to where you started. But again, you're up 100%. If you're not locking something in, you're not going to be around very long if you continue doing that. GNUS has been interesting. This thing got pumped it went last week. Let's see. So GNUS has come back down. So it had this pop to $3. I like that. We have that prior range. So it's great to see that the spikes, because it gives traders a quick, they can quickly look to the left. They don't have to zoom out and look too far to the left. And I always, when we're trading these penny stocks, always, you always want to look to the left. You don't want to look too far. I mean, you could get caught up in looking too far, okay, but you want to look to the left for that potential. And so here we go. We got a pop to 3 over 3. So we have that dollar plus potential right there. It's right smack in front of us on the chart. And so it's coming down. So maybe trying to hold up around this 175. If it doesn't, maybe it comes down toward the 50 SMA, down towards 150-ish. So it's getting close. Under, like, if you can get it under 180, honestly, even under 175, if that's possible, that's probably a better ad zone in my opinion. So I like that. I do like that though. But it's setting up. I mean, it's putting in higher lows, so it continues to make those higher lows. Let's see. ONTX on fire. Let's take a peek at that. Oh, wow, this thing did well. It had a nice little pop. Kind of pulling off support here, and it's pushing up. So now it's got to go over $1. It came up to the same 95 area. It's got to pop $1, and it filled the gap, right? It filled this gap up towards this like upper 90s from back in here when ONTX dropped down, right? ONTX was crazy. It had this massive run from 50 cents to 150. Then it kind of cooled down, and we were waiting on like data or something, and then it killed everyone on bad data, I believe, if I recall. From $1-ish down towards like 28 cents. That hurts. I remember a lot of people got crushed in that, and so why you always take profits on the front end, okay? But we come back down, and now it's been pushing back up. So over this 195, over $1 is key. It's got to pop $1. If it can do that, that's big for ONTX. Let's see. CRBP, I'm actually still in a few shares, but not that much. I've been in CRBP all the way from back in December, like back in here, man. I mean, it's been a fun ride. I sold half up in this first pop to like 250, and then I didn't reload. I could have got more, but I didn't reload. Then it popped again, and I sold a little bit. I sold about half of that. So now I'm down to about a fourth of my initial position. Maybe actually I think under a fourth, maybe like a fifth of my initial position. And I'm riding this because it's in the gap, so I want to see if it fills the gap, and it's also got that cannabis tie as well. So I like it. I'm still holding some, but at the same time, I've taken most of my profits. So if it comes back down to, $2, under $2, to me, it's like, okay, whatever. It's not a huge deal. That's kind of how I see it. I still think it'll get some more attention though. Holding, selling, gap plays. For example, BXRX and NVCN. Okay, let's take a peek at this. And some of this stuff is kind of tough. Things like BXRX. I feel like I'm getting caught up in too many buy and hold. I completely hear you on those, because it is kind of, sometimes it's a patience game, and so it's a lot of times just a very kind of patient game. And the way that I've found is what works for me is I kind of play some of these buy and hold bottomed out plays, and so I pad my account with a bunch of those, and I just accumulate on dips. And I can talk about some of the ones that have paid today in a second. And then at the same time, I leave about the other half, roughly, for more momentum swings in a sense. I always try to keep about a third of it cash. So you think about a third of it for kind of these bottomed out plays where I'm loading in the dips, I'm loading into them. And of course, they're longer term potential patience plays. They usually pay. Just sometimes you don't know when. It takes time. Sometimes, and then the sector. So right now we're seeing cannabis sector, we're seeing Bitcoin, we're seeing, EVs. So like all those three sectors, right? Cannabis, EVs, energy, and Bitcoin, right? Those are hot, right? And even a little bit of mining. Like I like WWR for like that graphite and nickel aspect, which is important for the EV space as well. So it kind of ties into that as well. So I use some money for those, so that those are not necessarily bottomed out plays. Sometimes they're kind of just, I'm trying to buy support, buying, anticipation of some of the runs. And then I have the rest in the bottomed out plays. I completely understand. And that's why I miss some of these. I miss so many plays sometimes because I'm just in other stuff, and you just got to understand that there's always another one. But the way that I started out, when I really had no idea what I was doing, when I initially started out trading penny stocks, it was pretty much what I did was I would buy these things. I really wouldn't know what I was doing, but essentially without knowing it, I was pretty much buying bottoms, and I had some help, some guidance and whatnot, but I was pretty much buying bottoms. And all of a sudden we get a spike and I'd sell into the spike. So my account would just kind of be flatlining, if not dipping a little bit. And then we get a spike, and then it's up here. And then we set a new stage, and we're flatlining, be dipping, and then boom. And then we do the same. And so it was kind of like every couple of weeks, I'd get another bump type of thing. So that's kind of the nature of it sometimes, The way that I've kind of avoided that now is by playing some more of those momentum swing kind of sectors, and so rotating into sectors. So right now, getting ahead, trying to get ahead of that next sector, getting ahead of Bitcoin, getting ahead of kind of, I think we're going to see EVs come back and forth, and it's going to be waves of that stuff. And even cannabis. Right now, we're in a pretty hot cannabis wave. It'll eventually cool off, and then we'll probably get another wave at some point. And then EVs. So I'm loading into some EV plays, getting out ahead of it, and then eventually we'll rotate into those. So I can talk about some of those positions. Let me go through. Sorry if I'm missing some questions. I'll get back to the chat in a second. But for example, where's APRE? APRE. This is one that I started buying it down here under 5. I think my average is like at 5 or 5.15 or 5.18. So I bought around 5. I started buying under 5 and I averaged up, but look at APRE, right? Bottom play for like 2 or 3 weeks, it was not doing much. It was kind of like, okay, up a little bit, down a little bit, up a little bit, had a good average and wasn't too concerned. But look today. Today we pop up over 7. We hit like 750 today. So, okay, I still have some. I scaled some out, but this is one of those patience plays where eventually the thing is probably going to pop a little bit. If it gets news, don't even start. The thing is going to run. But and they have cash on hand, so I like the idea of getting into it. But it's one of those where it's a patience play. I park some money in there. I'm not parking like a massive chunk of my account, because then I'm tying up cash that I don't know how long it's necessarily going to be tied up in this play. So the same thing with OVID, same exact thing. But what are we seeing today? It's breaking out over the 50 SMA, and we're pushing up. OVID, I've been in for like 2 or 3 weeks as well, or maybe probably 2 weeks, and I've been just kind of patiently waiting. And the thing has been, I got a nice average, and it hasn't come back to my average, so I haven't added more, and it's now finally pushing up and making some strides. So we'll see what happens tomorrow on those two, but that's a good example. And then KBA, I talked with this one in the past. I got people who asked questions, and I remember someone asked me questions when it was like back in here, and I was like, yeah, I like $4 in the after hours, so you're looking good, but it did take a couple months, so you kind of have to park some cash and oversold play for a couple months just for it to take until now to start catching some fire. So and they have a decision coming up as well, so there's kind of a binary point, I believe, for AKBA. So it could be a big runner, or it could drop again. So we'll have to see what happens with that one. But it's the same idea. So to a degree, it's putting cash in there that if you're patient on these entries, you can get really good entries if you're just watching them and you're trying to buy dips and you're buying on the red days. You can get really good entries on these plays. And these are like, your 50+%, runners. You're not looking for 20%. Like, for example, like if WWR, where's WWR? Let me pull this bad boy up. WWR runs up. Now this is actually looking really nice. But if WWR goes 20-30%, like I'm starting to take some profits there, and I'm not looking for I'm less looking for that massive 50+%. Although I do like WWR behind the scenes more than just like the chart. So this one I'm looking for $10 plus, ideally. But some of these kind of trades, even let's say like SNDL sometimes, like this one has a different story as well. But these ones, I'm quicker to take some profits. AYRO, another good example. I'm quicker to take some profits on some of these. AYRO actually look just sitting beautifully. This thing is just coiled up and it wants to just pop. AYRO is a ticking time out, I think. And we can of course drop down. We'll see if the market comes red. Comes down red hard tomorrow. It'll probably come down. But AYRO has been holding up very nicely. I like it a lot. But I'm quicker to take some profits on these plays, whereas those oversold plays, I'm stashing cash in there, and I'm a little more lenient on the sells. I'm putting them a little higher, 20. I'm looking at like 50% ish. Sometimes 100% is really realistic. BLRX. What is up with this guy? BLRX is so we had it held up down here in the 235 to 250 area. And now it's up there over 3. So you're up towards the top of the range as of late. So understand that you are at resistance pretty much. But that said, if we can break out over this 350, 375, then you got a lot more room. You got, probably easy room to $4 or $5, I would say, for BLRX. I personally would like to get a dip or a pullback down closer to under 250 or 250-ish. You can get that, but it may not happen, right? Bus XF. Take a peek at this bad boy. Okay, so you have a decent dip now. We got a little bit of a dip holding up, and this is a decent range, I think. If this can hold up, this is a decent range right here, right where we're sitting at, under this $3, over 225 is we're kind of consolidating for right now. As close to 225 as you can get it is a decent spot, with your risk maybe being identified as the low right here. So that 225 is your risk to the downside. So you're risking about 25 to 30 cents to the downside for a move. You're looking probably for, a move to break over those highs. So you're probably looking for, a $1 move upside at least, 50 cents to $1 move up. So that's a good risk reward. TYME, I didn't touch this thing today. I know a lot of people played it, but I didn't personally. It honestly was setting up decent in terms of support right here, this 160-ish area, 165, but I just didn't touch it personally. So it was more of I see these as day trades, and then you let them kind of consolidate for a little bit before you look for an entry, personally. AYRO waiting for 10. Yeah, I do like AYRO. I think the chart, now that I'm looking at it, because I've been looking at it like on a shorter time scale for so long, but now I'm looking at the daily chart. It looks really good because I think I entered back in here. And I was like, okay. And we got a little pop over 8, and then we kind of pulled back, and we had some red days in the market. So, pullbacks. And I didn't add those dips because I had a decent average down already, down in the 6-something area. So I'm not super concerned. But I definitely want to see this thing make a shot towards 10 again. And we're probably going to get another wave of EV, hype or whatever you want to call it, but back into EV plays. And AYRO, SOLO, Solo. Let's pull up Solo. How's the Solo chart looking like? Yeah, it's the same thing. Very similar chart. So these are all you start to see how a lot of these sector plays have a very, similar chart. CTRM, I think CTRM actually, as much as I, I traded it for a day trade today because Sino was a shipper and it ran up a lot, crazy on Bitcoin news, crazy enough. Sino puts out like Bitcoin miner, they've acquired Bitcoin miners or whatever. It's a shipping company, but okay, cool. You're taking the turn into the Bitcoin sector, I guess. But again, this thing is setting up. I mean, it's sitting up right here where it's coming to a point. I would not be surprised to see CTRM pushing back up towards $1. We're close. We're making a run towards that level. The thing with CTRM though, is that they are a dilution machine. So that's my only concern. That's why I was up like 4 cents on it, saying, hey, you know what? Let me just clean this out. I made a few bucks. I'll take my profit, and tomorrow if I want to get back in, I can get back in. But I just didn't want to run the risk of an offering overnight, or in the after hours, or in the morning hours. That's just why I didn't want to hold it overnight, because they do drop offerings like it's their job, and they're raising capital, so okay, they're acquiring new ships or whatever, which is cool, which is good, but at least they're doing something with the money. But those offerings drop the stock pretty hard. So after the offerings, a better time to get in. NTN's a risky buy. Bankrupt. I'm not saying I don't actually like NTN as a buy. I'm just saying I liked earlier. I was saying NTN, this chart setup, right? Look what it did. It went to $7 from like $2. Look at HUSA. Similar float in terms of like how many shares they have available. Both low floats. HUSA with oil pushing up because it's an oil company. With oil pushing up, USO pushing up. I like it a lot because it has that same chart setup. And it probably will get another push. That's at least my anticipation as long as oil continues its uptrend. So that's why I kind of like HUSA. So it's NTN is not something I actually traded NTN in the past a couple months ago. I want to say I traded NTN. Let's look at the 4-hour chart because it popped in the after-hour session. Yeah, I definitely traded NTN either back. Yeah, it must have been back in here. Back when it was back in here, back just after Christmas, and it popped to like 315. From like a $2, $2.15 entry. So I was like, I'm up $1 on a stock under 3. I'm taking my money. And I did. And then ideally, I could have held it and made more, but taking profits and run. That's how I do it, generally. CRSR. Let's pull this bad boy up. It's kind of pushing out of this range, okay? But it's in this consolidation, but it's also an uptrend. So we can get rid of this. We can keep this box if you want, but we can also get rid of it, and we can even just draw an uptrend line. Look at this. Here's your uptrend line. So it's got uptrend. It's not at the bottom. So if it came down, that's a great place to add. But it's solid. And it looks like over this 43 to 45 range, it wants to make more of a move to the upside towards $50. Over 50, this thing can make a pop. And break those highs. I like it. Sava was nuts. That was crazy. AMC dropped so much after a rise. Well, here's the thing. This is what I'm kind of not. I'm concerned about for those who are in, because today you had a little pop. Okay, could be a mercy exit day. It was short sale restricted. So what that means is that shorts couldn't hammer and smash the bid. So you can't short the stock into the bid. You can only short the stock on the ask and hope that it gets filled. Now, you can still short. Not that you can't short. That was a correction I had to make because I had to relook through the specifics of the rule. I knew there was more to it than just you can't short. So I was like, I made the mistake. But it's helpful for longs because it makes it a little bit easier for the upward momentum to kind of go. And I think if it wasn't short sale restricted today because it was down more than 10% yesterday, the shorts would have crushed this thing. They would have taken this thing below $7. But that's my concern for tomorrow. Do the shorts come in and hammer this thing below $7? If they do, this could be the end of the run. And we'll see. You got to look to GameStop as well. So we can look at GameStop as well to see what's happening, but it's sitting down here. They're very similar charts. They're both holding up in the upper, right. GameStop, right, 75 cents. I mean, $75. Sorry, cents. I keep thinking penny stocks. $75 is right where you want to, be support wise. But if it comes below that, watch out. I mean, I wouldn't, be careful on these things. Again, there's not as much downside here, honestly, as there was 3 days ago. But still, there's still downside. This GameStop can come down to $25, right? Realistically, I don't know. 2 a.m. I mean, those in the UK, that is just absolute dedication. I appreciate you tuning in. I really do. That's awesome. SNDL, man, I like SNDL. SNDL, I am very confident in after the offering and where it's sitting at. Here's the chart for SNDL. It's uptrending. Yeah, could it drop drop out of the uptrend and pull back? Yeah, whatever. I'm not too worried about it. But SNDL, I like it a lot. Over this 135, this thing can ignite the fire. I think 2, 3. I mean, who knows how high it could go with cannabis momentum. I don't want to get people caught up in that stuff because I'm taking profits along the way for sure. You know that. But I'll still ride a little bit of shares, for some fun, like what I'm doing with CRBP. CRBP, 4/5 of my position is already out. But I'm riding that last little 1/5 because we're up in the gap and this thing could make a crazy move to like $5-6. Realistically, could it go to 8? I don't know, maybe. And you can make a crazy move if they get a press release or something. Yeah, so I could see it. So that's why I'm holding I'm holding a little bit of that position just for some of the fun. So I got a little piece of the action. ATOS is crazy. This thing is like a beast. So my take on ATOS was, and there are people who did great on this. I could have made so much more money on ATOS. CIDM's got to break out. There's a resistance like 165. It's got to break over that 165 for a bigger move. That's the resistance right now on CIDM. But ATOS is sitting right here. I was buying this thing in the mid-80s, and I was loving it. And then it popped. I played it once. It popped in the pre-market hours, and then it popped again, and then I played it like 2 times. And I made money 2 times. Like solid 40% gains, like both times, which, I'm taking, I anticipate or I look for trades, right, with like 25% or more potential. It doesn't have, if I can't see 25% or more, I'm not taking it. So ATOS, this thing's down here in the 80s. I'm looking for this thing to make a gap fill up towards like this 125, which was like, obviously 25% plus. So I'm buying this thing down here. I played it up a couple times, and then I sold out because I think I sold out most of my shares on one of these like pullbacks. And I was like, yeah, I'm taking my money and moving on to the next one that I like the most. Not little did I know, but there's a lot in the pipeline, and little did I know that it was going to get like hyped on social media. I'm watching like on Twitter. Next thing I know, I'm getting comments saying ATOS to the moon, ATOS to the moon. And like when I start to see that stuff, when I see like continuous comments by either the same people or by a bunch of people who are different, who I've never seen before in the comments, who start saying ATOS is going to the moon, get in now, or it could be any stock, then I know they're obviously getting that from somewhere else because I wasn't saying that. For me, I had ATOS. I'm taking my profits and I'm locking gains in. Ideally, should I have held some shares? Yeah, for a bigger move. Yeah, but we filled the gap, and so I took most of my profits at the gap fill, and that's a solid, a high probability trade, at least in my experience, right? So, and this gap fill is this gap. So we have this gap from like this 138, 140 down to like 85 cents on an offering, and it filled that gap. It kind of recurved back up and filled the gap. That's what that really is when you kind of fill that empty space on the chart. But it pulled back to this $2, held $2, and now it's running again. So if ATOS can get back over 375, it looks good, but it's running up. I wouldn't be surprised if it does. The only problem is that obviously once it came up so much, once it hit 377, you have to understand that, you are potentially due for a pullback. This thing is straight up. You're due for a pullback. And no matter how much they have in the pipeline, I don't care what they have in the pipeline. They got a lot in the pipeline, but it doesn't matter. A lot of that is being factored in ahead of time. And now that I think about it, I haven't actually taken a peek at what they have been up to these days. So let's see if we can get any pieces of news. Any new news? Oh, here we go. Well, this is why. 21 million in excess, okay, from the offerings. Phase 2 breast cancer study produces substantially positive results. That was yesterday at 9:30 a.m. Substantially positive results, allowing study to be halted early. I guess that's a good thing. So it's good enough results they can move on. And then announces a 2-year update of their FDA-approved expanded access treatment Okay, so the past 2 days they've gotten positive news. No wonder it's pushing up. But again, you've gotten some of that pipeline that's kind of hit. So again, understand that like this run may pull back, or there may be some consolidation at some point here, because we kind of got what we were looking for. We got at least a piece of what we were looking for. CCIV, man, NAKD, CCIV I never played, but that's been awesome for those who have been in. NAKD really got that Wall Street bets pump. NAKD, I mean, it was a meme stock. Think about it, naked. I mean, I would, it's one of those stocks like in the past I've traded before, and it's always fun to be like, yeah, I'm getting naked today, guys. Like, we're going in, and like it's fun. It's fun to do that and say that, and it's easy to catch on. And it just really took for naked to explode. It really just took for Wall Street bets to kind of hop on board. And it was fun. I mean, I saw it on like, all these different like Barstool pages on Twitter and stuff. And I'm like, this is great. Like all these stocks are getting attention. Like, I wish I was in. I didn't know, but I have ideally caught it, still somewhere under $2 and made money. Yeah, but I just didn't. That's not how I trade. I buy bottoms. Time. I don't know. I don't know. Not a big fan of this guy. I want to see this thing come down. There's a gap here from this 280 down towards this $2. So this thing is going to have some settling to do. That's kind of what I want to see. NAKD, awesome. NAKD made 2K today. They can, a solid little play. I mean, this thing is, for those who like these penny plays, Naked's been one of those. Now it's got some of the volumes pulled off, but it really just takes one of those spikes for to rekindle that fire and get it going. KNDI. This is a good one because we're talking EVs before, right? Let's see this guy here. Yeah, I mean, it's got a nice uptrend, so it's kind of sitting relatively at a low. And I would be, if I'm looking to buy this thing, I'm looking to be buying it now and then buying it down towards this 750. And then we're looking for that EV momentum to come back. So, where does that momentum start? Well, honestly, what is Tesla up to? I don't even know. Tesla's been choppy lately, to be honest. It came down under 800, but then it's bounced right back. So Tesla's been kind of choppy. So Tesla, NIO. Let's take a look at NIO. How's NIO? Not Nokia. Nokia. I mean, if you like Nokia, if you're in it, under $5, I think is a reasonable long-term position with 5G, and I think it's a reasonable position. NIO. Yeah, here NIO was in this buy range. Prior resistance, new support, I like it right in the mid 50s. I think NIO, I said it a few times, I still think NIO is going to be $100 plus this year. I think that's going to happen fairly easily. I don't think there's much stress to be worried about. Again, who knows? Anything can happen, right? There could be some horrible news that, they get recalls or factory issues, who knows? Or battery issues for all we know. It seems like, Tesla's immune to any of that recall stuff because there's recalls on Tesla. Oh yeah, Tesla recalled 500,000 vehicles, and then you go and look at Tesla's stock price and it's up today. It's like, oh, okay, I guess no one cares. But NIO is, the 50 SMA is catching up to it, so I think it's probably in a really good spot in my opinion right here. So I'm bullish on NIO. I have some in the long term. I actually bought some yesterday, I think, or 2 days ago, on the dip down to the mid 50s. I bought some on that guy. Just adds to the long term position. Let's see. I'm seeing some SNDL I like. APHA and Tilray. Those are some. Let's go back to those canvas plays. Because, pull up. Here they go. Tilray is monster and a half. APHA, monster as well. Same setup as Tilray. Some laggers could be ACB. Hasn't made as big of a move. And then SNDL as well. I mean, the SNDL, yeah. I think SNDL has a bigger move in store. We got to break out over, let's look at the 1 hour chart again. We got to break out over this 135 area. Break out over that, things can get going. So I like those two. And then if you want a sleeper cannabis play that I've literally seen no one talking about, which is this is the name of the game, it's finding those stocks, right? Because if you follow people on Twitter or on social media, and somebody's got, 100,000, and there's a lot of guys these days now on social media who have, 200K plus followers and stuff. And it's nothing against that. But when they tweet about a stock or they're saying, hey, I'm buying this or whatever, or check out this, it gets, a pump. and you don't want to be buying directly after a tweet. Ideally, you want to be buying before they tweet about it. So you want to be kind of finding, and I made a video going over how to find the stocks, how to find penny stocks or whatever before they get pumped, or any stocks in general. How do you find them before they get pumped? So that's a good video if you want to go back and check that out on the channel from about a couple weeks ago. But NEPT, Neptune Wellness. Neptune Wellness, they do, where is it? Legal cannabis, hemp. So they're in that space as well, and they're sitting relatively low compared to all these other cannabis stocks that have been running up. So I think it's a matter of time before this one gets found. I have some. If it dips under 2 again, I'll buy more, but I have some, from this 50 SMA bounce. So I do kind of like it. I'm not saying that you need to go buy this stock, but if you want a cannabis play that's at a much lower, has a much lower risk chart-wise, this is one of those plays, I think. I don't know, and I haven't read enough deeply about the merger, but I remember reading back when it happened, and they both popped, but they became, I believe, the largest cannabis company in the world now. So that's big news. Tilray and APHA. That merger is now they're the largest cannabis company in the world, which is huge. So that's why those are the two leaders of the pack, at least lately. I'm not surprised. ABIO is one that I actually grabbed some this week. ABIO is one that I was saying in the past, hey, I want to grab ABIO under 4. Now, once I started saying that, it hasn't come below 4. So we got close, or it got close actually. And I missed that dip, and then it popped up towards 5, and I missed that. So I was like, okay, let's get a dip. And then it dipped. We had the market coming down last week, so it dipped, and I grabbed those low 4s. So I have I don't have that low of an average, but I have an under 450 average, I believe, is where I currently have it. So if it comes below that, I'll buy more. I don't have that much. But ABIO, I like it. They have data coming out relatively soon this year. So we're waiting on that, and it's a low float stock. So ABIO, let's pull it up. Oh no, we got to look at FinViz. I want to look at FinViz. Let's take a peek at ABIO. What do they got? 9.28 million float. Any insider buys? Yeah, well, December 18th, we have a chairman buying at 416, 10,000 shares. Okay, if that means anything to you, that's interesting. So I like, and the chart, oh my gosh, this chart from this June spike, this chart is setting up, and I've been saying it for a while, and I played it back in here in the summer, and then I've been trying to play it again. It just it keeps looking like it wants to go, and it hasn't gone. It's probably going to go at some point. They just need that news catalyst to pop it. So, TYME, but let's see. Got a 330 average, so you're sitting roughly where it is. I don't know. I don't know enough about what's going on here to tell you. The way that I trade these stocks, I trade them technicals first, and then I do my due diligence. At the end of the day, though, I don't and it's one of those things I think has just benefited me. Is I have absolutely no attachment to these stocks. Absolutely not. The second you start diving, and it's good if you're a long-term investor, but if you're trading these penny stocks, the second you start going too deep and you start thinking this company's actually got a lot going on. It doesn't matter what they got going on. It's what matters is what's in front of us. Are the buyers here, or are we getting some sellers coming in? What's shorts come? What do we got going on? These stocks generally, it got rejected at 5. So these stocks generally, let's take a look at what happened. It got rejected at 5. 5 is a very strong resistance in penny stocks. So it's in this range. And I just don't like buying in between these ranges. Either you buy at the breakout, so buying just around 5 or just over 5 for a breakout over 5, or you're buying support, And intraday, you can see support a little bit better. So ideally, we can see, it was tough to see, but we kind of roughly had support here, came down 360-ish, popped up to $4, came back down to 330, 340, and popped up a little bit towards the middle of the day. It's tough to say. If I had to say, it's probably, I would say I wouldn't want to see this thing dropping below 280, but it's up to you. When it's flatlining like this, it's a very popular short target in my eyes. So be careful of a stock that's flatlining like that. It's usually shorts attack, unless the buyers come in tomorrow. But I would say, quickly determine that tomorrow morning and decide for yourself. The low of the day here today is key, so 280. If it comes below 280, it's probably going to come down more. And if we look at the daily chart, 280, right, fills this gap. It can come down to 250 and even potentially lower. So I don't want to, I don't want you to hold this thing all the way down there. That's one of those things. Yeah, AMCI merger. This is actually. So what do they have? They have news today. Did AMCI have news today? I forget if they did. I think I want to say that I saw something. Let me pull up there. Let me pull up some of this. AMCI acquisition. I don't think they did. Okay, they didn't. Meeting date is the 2nd, so that's the merger date. What is that? No, what happened today? That wasn't today, right? Or did that happen today? Happened today. Let me pull this up. AMCI was one that I liked a lot. Here's what happened. So I took profits. Actually, I think I ended up selling some in the short-term account. Okay, sorry. I sold some because I was in from like a $12 average. I sold some at 19. I was up nicely. And then it bounced off the 50 SMA. So it's putting in higher lows. And it's one of their customers or partners, I believe, is FCEL. And look at FCEL, how it's been doing. Fuel cell, they're into fuel cells. This thing has been a beast, absolute beast from like under $2, which is where I used to trade it before, but now look at it. So AMCI, I like a lot. I liked it a lot in the past, and I think I like it on dips even more, obviously now. But AMCI, 50 SMA here, I would say $15 is kind of like your support, I would say, roughly. I wouldn't want to see this thing dropping below 15. I mean, it could do whatever it wants at the end of the day, but wouldn't want to see it dropping below 15-ish. And the 50 SMA is going to come up as that happens. So I personally like it. If I had to give you guys a buy or sell rating personally, I do like it because this sector has been really red hot. But that's just me. ACB, yeah, SNDL. I'm actually in SNDL. I like SNDL. I'm literally just holding that one. ACB. Pull this bad boy up. I think over $14.50, over $15, this thing has a lot more than take. The only concern is that these cannabis stocks pull back a little bit. Just be careful. Not that they're going to, but they may. We may see a temporary pullback in a lot of these cannabis plays. Ideally, who knows how it's going to go. But again, into these votes, I'm thinking that I'm still overly bullish on a lot of these cannabis stocks going in to the votes that are coming up in Congress soon, right? Because we're seeing more and more talk about these different states and going to Congress and this, that, and everything. So it's been a priority, and so they're making sure that's getting done. I like ACB, and I'm curious to see how this goes. When we finally get a vote passed in Congress, right? Because it's probably going to happen. Let's be honest. With Democrats in control, it's going to happen. But do we get a bigger? Does that start the bigger run, or is it like a sell the news, or is it not as big of a run? My guess would be a bigger run, but that's just my guess. I guess my guess is as good as yours on that. I'm not really into OTC, MEEC, one settlement. Yeah, I mean, I'm not a big OTC guy. I don't really trade them too much, and if I do, it's in my TD Ameritrade, so it's like a small account that I just mess around with sometimes. But that's just personally me. PXS is a shipper, right? PXS, Pixies Tankers. Okay, yeah. It's kind of uptrending right now, right? So we kind of have trend line. Roughly here's your uptrend for right now. So you kind of got that going for you. It's a steep uptrend. So many times these steep uptrends, the longer it's holding up, it kind of crashes down. But I know it's got those spikes. So I would have your order set ahead of time. So if you're looking to play this one, buying as close to one as possible with orders set, every like 10 cents or so on the way up, just in case kind of you get a spike and you're not paying attention. So I kind of see that. That's that. I mean, let's see. Let's take a peek at some of these green energy stocks and see how they've been doing. Let's take a look at JKS. Oh yeah, JKS. Look at this thing. Talk about if you want to scalp options, every like couple of weeks, buy this thing down on the bottoms. I mean, now it's a decent time to buy it for a move back up towards like 75. It's at 65, so you can probably get a good $5 to $10 move on JKS, based on what we got going on. TAN, a solar ETF, just solid, strong. It's consolidating for now, but I think we're going to get eventually another move up. OPTT, look at this thing. OPTT broke out up here, came back down. I would love to have seen it come back down closer to $3. Didn't get that, so found support at $4. That's that. Got into AMC at 15. Man, see, my thing with the whole my whole issue with the AMC and the GME stuff, and I made a video on those today. My thoughts on it. I thought it's probably my last video on those stocks, because unless something crazy happens, but realistically, for those things, it's like I understand the movement behind everyone kind of not ganging up, but you know what I mean. I'll pull up AMC, standing up for themselves, right? Standing up against the hedge funds, against the suits, the big money, right? And how they've been screwed. I 100% am with you. I am 100% saying, hey, Robinhood, screw you for what you did. That was horrible. And it wasn't just them, it was other brokers as well. But I mean, come on. And here's the thing. I'm sorry that unfortunately they didn't have cash, settlement periods, or whatever. So what? That's not our problem. You got to do that. That's your job. We're using you because of that. So I can see a mass exodus. Also, I heard that Robinhood had a massive influx of new accounts. I think that's just because initially, before all this started happening, Robinhood is okay, we're not Robinhood. People are like, okay, what's the easiest way to buy into some of these stocks they're seeing on Wall Street Bets? And it was, grab the Robinhood app. It was the number one investing app or whatever it was. So grab the app and there you go. It was easy. So I get it. But man, I mean, I hate to see people hold this thing down from up here all the way down. So it got some support at $7, under $7. I don't know, but you're for AMC, you're back under 10. I mean, under 10 is realistically, it's probably going to be in this range. I would say between $5 and $10 is probably where it's going to be for quite some time. I don't see AMC going much lower, but at the same time, I can also see AMC just sitting right here. So it's up to you. Do you see value somewhere else for a bigger move or a higher return? Maybe. Or do you see your value at AMC? I don't know. It really comes down to you. MARA, I'm seeing MARA. ATNF, I am actually out of ATNF. Nothing against it. I just made a lot. So, I mean, not a lot, but my percentage wise, I had an average at $2 or $2.82 or something like that. And it's up. It was 100% play. So I took my profits at 5. And it made a big enough move. And it could go for more, but I just took my profits and move on. No need to hold this one on for that long. NEPT. Yeah, but I think it's still got more. NEPT is unfound. No one's found. I literally have not, because I follow. For those who always ask about Twitter, I have a Twitter. I use it to follow people, and follow the big guys in the space who have 100,000 followers, because the way that I see it is that those guys can really influence the price action intraday and get the momentum there. So it takes a tweet. I think the way that I like to do things is I don't like to say, hey, go buy this stock, right? Or I share everything that I'm in, either at night or either on the weekend and stuff like that. And I like to do, if I do videos during the week, it's about ideas, sectors, it's a bunch of stocks. I'm never in all the stocks I talk about. It's just a bunch of ideas. So I like that strategy better, so that you can build your own strategy. And it's so much better, right, when you have a bunch of ideas in front of you, and it wasn't like someone said, okay, go buy the stock at this price and sell at this price. You have all the ideas in front of you. Hopefully, right, we can kind of outline a general plan. You can target a good entry price. You get a solid entry, maybe you add on a dip. Boom, a couple days later, the plan works out and you're selling for profits, and you're feeling a lot better about how you just did that yourself, and you don't have to feel like you rely on somebody else to do that for you. So that's kind of the way that I see this stuff. But I follow a lot of guys on Twitter, so if you follow me, you're never gonna see me tweeting buy AM or buy this stock or XYZ. I'm never gonna do that. If I ever did, it would be a joke, and just don't take it seriously. But I really don't tweet, so I may like a thing or two. That's it. But MARA and no NEPT. I think that they're NEPT here. Look at the relative chart. Look at NEPT. Okay. It's breaking out of the downtrend. It's potentially got more to the upside. It's cannabis. It's a cannabis play. They sell cannabis products. Okay. What are some other plays? HEXO, up massive lately, right? I don't really want to get into all these, but Tilray, up massive, right? Look at all these other cannabis plays. Even IGC, massive. I mean, well, not as much, but up a lot relatively. So that's why I like NEPT. MARA, I like a lot as Bitcoin continues to ramp its way up. Look at this thing. It's gonna come back and clear over these highs. I want to see 30 plus on MARA. I'm in. I'm in MARA. So I am in. So I am joining you for the ride. What else? Let's pull up Bitcoin. How is Bitcoin? BTC USD. How is Bitcoin doing on this fine hour? It's okay. So it's got resistance up here around this 38.5. It's got resistance because that's where it came up to on a Friday last week. So it's can't hit that, fell quick, and now it established higher low, and it's slowly kind of grinding its way back up. So let's see how it does. But I think if Bitcoin can push back up over 38,000, over 39,000, and 40,000 for that matter, it's going to make a shot towards these all-time highs. And I think it's the next round for Bitcoin. But we'll see. I mean, it may not just happen immediately. It may kind of like pull back, a little bit, make a higher low at 35. There's your dip ad, boom, and then pop from there. Or it could come down and then maybe it never goes back any higher. That's just that's the nature of the game. That's why you take profits along the way. But at the end of the day, I'm fairly confident in this ramping up. So we'll see. MFH did pop after hours. MFH for a low float Bitcoin play. You got to be careful on MFH because it can move fast. And if there's not a sustained move behind Bitcoin, this thing can come right back down on you. But that said, right, MFH spikes in the after hours today to $5, but you actually ended up closing at 440. So you could have grabbed, even someone who grabbed it before the close is grabbing dips at 440. This thing, if Bitcoin stays above 38,000 and makes a push towards like 40K tomorrow, MFH is going to be back over $5, almost like guaranteed. But it has those spikes. So it makes that spike and then eventually it comes back down. And usually it puts in a higher low, but it quickly makes that spike and boom, it comes back down. MFH is a Chinese fintech company. It has those ties, I guess, to Bitcoin. And a lot of these penny stocks, guys, with a lot of these penny stocks, it's like it doesn't necessarily matter. I mean, as long as if they can put out a press release for Bitcoin, they're going to run. Funniest thing I've ever seen. Well, there's some funny ones as you kind of trade some of these garbage stocks for a while, because that's a lot of what these penny stocks are, right? Sino is a global shipping company, right? Here comes today's PR, 8:30 a.m. Sino Global announces new executive leadership to drive Bitcoin mining operations expansion. A global shipping company goes into Bitcoin mining. You heard it here first, right? So, but look what this thing did. Sino, now it came down hard, I guess, but it still finished up 50%. The thing went to 1650. Okay, that's nuts. Okay, if we look at where it was, okay, it closed yesterday at 472, 474, whatever it was. The thing went to 1650 in the pre-market hours today. I mean, Bitcoin's hot. you just can't doubt that. So I'm still in some CRBP. I've had some from down below 150. So I scaled out a lot of that, but I still have some SNDL I like a lot as well. So those are the ones. And DPW, those who I'll talk about DPW quick, and then we'll wrap things up because I actually got to go get some eggs. I have to go grocery shopping tonight. Late night grocery shopping. Late night mart run. So, okay, it's sitting at the 50 SMA. Now, DPW is one of those stocks that a lot of people have been done dirty by them in the past. Although I have done well with DPW. I can't complain. I was in it for this spike. Now, of course, I sold way too early. But did I know it was going to go to $11? No, I didn't know it was going to happen. But DPW at the 50 SMA, first test in a while, I like where it's sitting. So right here, 450 or so, down towards like maybe 430, you cut it, worst case scenario, cut it there and that's it. CGC, a longer term cannabis play. I'm in on that one. I like that one for a little bit longer of a haul. And then SLS, and then we'll wrap things on up here. SLS popped. It's probably going to come down, man. I mean, I don't know. It had a decent day, but look at this chart. Okay, you want to know why DPW has that potential? Look at this chart right here on SLS. Pop to 19, comes back down, consolidates in this range, falls down to like 550. Okay, pops to 13. You're up over 100% on that pop off the 50 SMA bounce. Okay, DPW. Look at the chart. It's a very similar chart, and a lot of times the chart gives hints, and that's why I love technicals first. So if you like technicals, you're in the right place, at least for watching my videos. You're going to get a lot of that stuff at least sprinkled in at some point in the videos, because that's just all, it's all about risk reward. It's all about technicals first, and then we can back our way into, okay, is it a hot sector? What do they have going on? What's in the pipeline? Are they at risk? Do they need cash? Are they at risk of an offering? Do they do offerings a lot? And so you back our way into building out positions just like that. So hopefully that's helpful. And meanwhile, Bitcoin is actually pulling back as we speak. Not surprised. So this is going to be resistance up here. So we'll see if it can push back up in the end of the night. If I could out of AMC and take my losses, man, I don't want to. The best way to go about it is to start taking the time to say, okay, what happened on this play? Why did I lose money on this? What did I do wrong? What can I do better next time? And then to start taking the next step. And ideally, right, hopefully this channel can help you out in terms of, giving you some good ideas. We talk about a lot of good ideas. That's what we do. We talk about a lot of good ideas. Sector, I'm never going to give you guys a stock, a price entry, and an exit point exam. I'm never going to do that. I give you how I see the charts, how I see ideas, how I see setups, how I see sectors, and stuff like that. But generally, hopefully you're in a good spot. So we can take from that. The way that I see the whole AMC Genie thing is like, okay, you could, take your money, and there's a whole bigger purpose behind a lot of it. I understand, but at the same time, it's like you can also take your money, take your gains, right? You beat the hedge funds, you made money. They don't like that. They win. You won, right? You got a piece. You got a big chunk of the pie. Take your money and go play at something. Go do something else and beat them again and continue to beat them, right? Beat their returns. If you beat their returns, if you can achieve a return in your own account, right, of realistically over 30% or 30% per year or better, and you can do that consistently, which we do. The past 18 months that I've been trading penny stocks, done significantly better than that. But I've been getting even better. I mean, the past couple weeks have been super hot. But even taking a step back, if you just do 1% per week, or you do 2% per week in your account, roughly, average it out, my goal is 5% per week. But if you do the math on that, you see how fast you can compound your gains. And you'll quickly realize, as you start doing it and get more experience, you will never put your money in a mutual fund or in even an index fund. You'll never give your money to somebody else to go get a return for you and pay them fees. Never again. It's some of the, I'll do it for certain funds like the ARK ETFs. I'll do something just so that it's money that I know is going to they're going to give me a decent return, and I don't have to worry about it. There's no stress. And so it's kind of like a cash park in a sense. Even index funds, if you want to just put it in an index fund that models the S&P 500, like VOO, the Vanguard S&P 500 ETF. If you want to, index fund, right, or VOO, the ETF. This thing is going to model the S&P 500, and that's it. So, you're going to return the S&P. So, if you want to do that as a cash park for money that you got to pay for taxes, or you want to use that, or money you want to just kind of compound and not have to worry about absolute stress-free investment, yeah. But the way that I see it is if you can actively, return 30+% per year, which is, if you're sticking around here, we can do much better than that. Now, of course, we'll go through cycles where the market's not as hot and stuff, but we can certainly do that. When you got to take advantage when the market's hot, that's one of those things. But that's how you beat the hedge funds. You never give them your money. Never give them your money. Take your profits and move on. So hopefully this live stream was helpful. I got to go grocery shopping, so I got to go make a run here. So hopefully you guys enjoyed it. We'll be back tomorrow with another video. Hopefully everyone stays green. I will say that last week was my first red week in a while. Barely. It was down $250. Every single Saturday we go over all my positions and the top stocks I'm watching for the next week. So stay tuned for those videos. And then Sunday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern, same time, same place, just Sunday nights. We'll do it earlier this weekend for the Super Bowl, but every Sunday we do a live stream as well. So stay tuned for those. And I can give you guys a hint on it's only Wednesday. We'll see what happens the rest of the week. But we're up very large this week, percentage-wise. We're up very, very large, beating the goal already. And so we'll see how the next 2 days go. Of course, as I say this, knock on wood, we'll see a market crash. Hopefully not, but that'll just destroy all my swings. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'm going to head out now. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Stay green this week. Please, please, please do not give back all your made money. That's one of the biggest things. Protect your capital. And I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.